Okay, so I had a 7-hour session on Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition straight. Now, I want to talk about this game because there's a lot of stuff going around in the media right now. Let me talk about it. So, like I said, a lot of negative news is going around with the expansion. I don't want to comment on that in particular because I haven't got there yet, but I do want to talk about this game, and it's still extremely challenging. Now, if you don't know, the whole game is basically based on a dice roll similar to Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I'm talking about? You get like different numbered sided die and you roll it, all of that stuff. I don't know, it's before my generation, but instead of like in Diablo when, you know, you're given certain terms where if you pick a skill, you know it's going to do X amount of weapon damage over X amount of time, whatever. Well, Baldur's Gate's kind of different. It's more like poker in the terms of that, you know, you can choose a skill, but you're mitigating the RNG. So it'll be like, you know, 1 to 6. So it'll be like one dice roll out of, you know, 1 to 6 damage or whatever. That's how I understand it anyway. Now, the game is also larger than I expected as well, significantly. I never finished Baldur's Gate as a kid. And, you know, obviously that's why I have been revisiting it because it was such a great game back then. But I used this website and I recommend you guys check it out too. It's called howlongtobeat.com. Essentially, if you're figuring out, you know, if you want to commit to a game, check out how long it takes. If it's like 50 hours, then maybe it's a bit tough for you, or, you know, you don't want to commit that long. It might be 8 hours or something like that, like Transistor or whatever. Anyway, long story short, I love this website. Check it out if you want. Now, it's put Baldur's Gate as 29 hours or 52 hours for the main quests and all the extras, of course. Now, I'm up to chapter 3 of the 7 chapters. I think there's 7 anyway. Now, I've played it for 10 hours now, 3 of which were from the recording of the last gameplay video, and also some stuff I did before recording. I always play a game a little bit first before I do record anyway. Now, I've been playing the game considerably slow, and it seems like I'm smashing through the game considering where I am at anyway, unless one of the future chapters is significantly longer, which I think is a definite possibility considering how short chapter 1 and chapter 2 was. Long story short, guys, it's a big friggin' game, and I'm very surprised that it is that big considering how old this is. You know what I mean? Like, games weren't like that back then, but apparently, you know, some were. Now, so really quickly, I wanted to talk about the loot. So finding, let's say, quote unquote, a legendary item in the game, or just something that you have to identify, which is kind of like the equivalent. You know, you don't just find loot willy-nilly where it's like plus X stat. It's not usually like that. You either find normal items or something that needs to be identified, and it might be +1 or whatever the stat is. Now, this is really cool because every time you do find an item, it feels really, really good because they are so rare. Now, even though you identify them, the stats are so simple and so plain where, you know, mathematically you could exchange it over to another game and it could be like, say, plus 10% more damage. In this game, it feels dramatic because of the RNG, old D&D elements that I mentioned. Now, the death punishment is harsh as hell. So when you die in the game, you have to trek all the way back to like these church thingos and resurrect one of your characters, which costs gold. Around about between 100 and 200 gold in the particular part that I'm at, which is not really a lot of gold, but it's a pain in the ass because you have to trek over to another area and resurrect your character. Now, if you know me from my past, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know I love playing games in hardcore mode where if you die, that's it, game over. Now, in my opinion, this is a death penalty in a softcore mode that I find worthy. I find it worthy to play a game that when you die, you have to trek and go and resurrect it. I love the death punishment. It makes it so much more rewarding and engaging and more valuable to not die in the first place. Not just, you know, easy mode all the time. Now, throughout my time so far, up to chapter 3, the game constantly introduces you to lots of brand new characters. If you're unaware, you have 6 characters max, and you can actually interchange them as well. So if you're sick of someone, you can get rid of them and find someone along the way. So you have to obviously find them out and seek them in the game, and they actually come to you quite often. Now, these individual characters also play quite a heavy role in the gameplay as well. For example, you can get like a chaotic wizard or something like that, and it might bring down the party because he's so evil in his, what's the word? In his alignment. So right now I'm actually looking for a brand new spellcaster because I've gone through so many ship ones. But anyway, what I want to get at is that the 6 main characters, and I actually feel really attached to the 6 characters that I get. So I feel like if I get rid of another character, I'm going to miss out on something special. It's got nothing to do with the lore behind the game. It does do a pretty good job of introducing you, like characters will have dialogue with themselves, which was quite innovative back then, but I feel no attachment to the dialogue or the person or that kind of stuff. Maybe just a little bit, but the reason why I do feel hesitant about getting rid of a character for someone new is the value of ownership. I'm pretty sure this is a cognitive bias. I've actually talked about this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. I think it's the IKEA effect. Feel free to Google that if you want, but you feel attached to something when you build it, and it feels good to have your characters in the game. You don't want to get rid of them. So that's one thing I really do like. The character attachment, not so much emotional, but more, you know, the commitment of building up your team, giving him them special legendaries that you find, quote unquote legendary, by the way, but you know, there's special rare items that you find. Yeah, it's just a really good attachment to the players anyway. Anyway, guys, in conclusion, and the whole point of this video, it's easy to see now as an adult looking back at this game. It's got some of the most important game mechanics that games coming out right now are struggling to actually pull off, which is just insane. Like, this game is so old. I don't think you realize this game came out in 1998. So the enhanced edition is obviously, you know, enhanced graphics and that kind of stuff, but it's the same exact games. Games right now are still trying to do what these guys did, you know, years and years ago. In fact, I was 9 when this came out, so it's amazing. So I think if Baldur's Gate came out right now, let's say that there was no Baldur's Gate existing in the past, and let's also throw it in there and say Divinity didn't exist too, because that's a fantastic game as well. Let's say it came out right now, but with slightly modern graphics like Divinity, possibly a little bit better. I think this game would be a modern day classic, if not game of the year, if it did come out right now, because it's just got those core mechanics, that awesomeness that you just don't see in modern games. And it's not like they're not including them or anything like that. It's more like they just miss out on some of these core features on a fundamental level. So I also don't want to go ahead and say this game is perfect or anything like that. There's stuff in there that's not that great. You know, it's heavy lore. I actually enjoyed the lore part of it, but you know, if you're bringing out a modern commercial game, you're not going to kill everyone with lore. No one's going to read all that stuff. Try to get your 10-year-old kid to sit down and read a book. He's not going to do it. Playing Baldur's Gate is a little bit like that. So last of all, guys, I will say this. If you know that you personally like these type of games and for whatever reason don't own it, which I assume you probably will own this game if you are into this type of genre, but if you for some reason didn't pick it up and you're like, yeah, I was thinking about it, but oh no, I didn't get around to it, kind of like myself, it's a really good game. I think it's very much worth it, despite the expansion, which I haven't got to yet, which has a little bit of negative press about lots of different stuff. When I get there, I will talk about that, by the way, but it's totally worth it, guys, and I've enjoyed my time on the game. So Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, what an awesome experience to come back and play this game. Like I said, I had a 7-hour session straight on it, which is something I haven't done in a long time in any game. I might have done it a week earlier on Thief, but honestly, it's very hard to find a game like that to really get into. And yeah, see you next time.